Hello, Starshine. My name is Liz, and this is my channel, Simsational Stories. If you have not seen my videos before, and you enjoy this one, please like and subscribe. And maybe check out my Facebook page, where this whole thing began, as well. All relevant links are in the description below, and of course, if you're a Sims player and you'd like to download any of the characters featured in my stories, just search the hashtag Simsational Stories on the Sims 4 gallery. All original content is created by This Is Not Eric. Alrighty then. So, welcome. And what is up, Buttercup? Are you having a good day or a bad day? Whichever your answer, please allow me to distract you from your life and tell you a story, a Simsational story. Before I begin though, I'd like to issue this blanket content and trigger warning. The following story is just Sims, hey? I'm not going to apologize for treating them terribly, if that's what I've done. But I do want to assure you now that although I mean absolutely no harm, I completely understand if you feel unable to consume my content. Many loves, and we will catch each other on the internet elsewhere. Okay, so now we've gotten that over with, let's go. Today's story is from Magnus Down and the StrangerVille Mystery, and we're at chapter 5. If you have not seen previous chapters, and would like to catch up, there are playlists available on my channel so you can hear the entire story in chronological order. The rest of us are going to move on from where we left off last time though. So without further ado. The giant mother plant! The thing was huge, violently loud, and utterly terrifying. It was everything Erwin had ever suspected might be down there, and more. And it was angry. Before they knew it, the four friends were in the fight of their life. The mother plant barely gave them time to breathe before she attacked, breaking Erwin's left arm immediately. At that moment, Alexandria had the bright idea to try throwing one of her vaccines at it, and in the roaring retreat that yielded them, they managed to spread out around the room as possessed people poured out of side doors. Kil'aya and her friends escaped death multiple times. The giant mother plant was ferocious in her fury. Using industrial strength insecticide in spray guns seemed to work a little bit, but it just wasn't enough. The great mother plant was ready to devour them all. But in fact, its ferocious appetite for human flesh was in the end its undoing. As in a sudden last-ditch attempt to avoid being eaten, Kil'aya threw the last of Alexandria's vaccines straight into the Great Mother's mouth. It was a long and difficult fight, and it had taken every ounce of strength Kil'aya and her friends had just to struggle to stay alive. But in the end they did it. They were victorious. The Great Mother Plant of Strangerville was defeated, and they were all heroes. When Kil'aya finally returned home, Magnus took her in his arms gratefully. He was so proud of her. She had not only proven him wrong, how could he have thought those plants were normal? She had saved the entire town and was a hero. But Kil'aya had bigger news for Magnus than her being right about the Strangerville plants. She was pregnant! She'd avoided taking the test until now, because if she'd known she was pregnant, she never would have fought the mother plant. But now everything was settled, she was ready. They were ready. It was time to start their own family. And so Kil'aya Nimeroo and Magnus Down got married, and Magnus surprised Kil'aya by taking her last name. Oberon already had his last name and would pass it on, he said, and Nimeroo was a beautiful name he didn't want being lost. As her pregnancy progressed, Kil'aya and Magnus wondered what their future child would be like. On 6M, all reproduction was done in labs, so biological conception without prior knowledge of your child's genetic makeup was a new concept to Kil'aya. And for his part, Magnus too was in new territory. It was new territory for Oberon too. He'd never become a big brother before, and he was excited. Kil'aya and Dad were great, wonderful parents, but the idea of having a little brother or sister to play with was wonderful too. Just imagine. In a few years' time, Oberon wouldn't have to carve pumpkins with his parents on Spooky Day. He'd have someone else to do it with, someone little who would look up to him and who he could show how to do it all. He couldn't wait. Magnus and Kil'aya were excited too. Now that Kil'aya had solved the mystery of Strangerville, and they were married and expecting a child, their real life could really begin. But that was a story for another time. And that brings us to the end of Chapter 5 of Magnus Down and the StrangerVille Mystery. And actually, that's the end of this story entirely. For now. But if you've enjoyed this video and story, please still like and subscribe so you can tune in soon to hear some of the other great stories I've got going on. Or like I said, look us up on Facebook. Bye!